Day-04 for our core Java. Let's focus on what is it that we're planning to accomplish in today's session. Very brief look, day one, installation, Eclipse, JDK, all installed. Day two, we started writing a little bit of code in our Eclipse IDE, how we created a workspace, a Java project, a class, a Java class rather, and then how we went about writing simple code in it. We understood blank lines, comments. We got to an extent where we started understanding what are statements. And then day three, we took it a little forward where we're trying to emulate the real life situations that programming languages want to try and replicate. That is what they're trying to do. Let me fix this. And we have not come to the concept of object oriented programming yet. We're going to get there, but we're slowly building up to get there. We started to slowly work with variables where we can hold information, simple container boxes that have nothing but a name on top that we call with and a value that gets returned from it. So how we can relate to a name of a variable is the most important aspect, and it comes with our three stages: declaring them, initializing them, and then we're using them. Now, do note this, team, as we go into Java, I'll keep writing a lot of pointers as we go along. So there will be good reference for you as you keep going along in your learning and before your interviews. These documents, keep them handy with you, team. I will share them as we go along with this session. Hopefully for the first 4 days or 5 days, I'll share it as one package, all these 5 documents and the codes that we generate as packages. Okay, now there are a lot of ways to do the same thing in programming. Think of it like this, team, and it's a very important concept. You are here to learn coding and programming, team. You're not just trying to become something in IT. You want to know what is coding, how does it work, what are the basic constructions of it. I'm not saying that you will become the world's best Java developer. I'm not saying that you're going to compete in that space all the way. But if you want to get a career in IT, knowing the basics of coding is extremely essential. And that is why you need to know uh, how we can do it in multiple ways too. For you, at the beginning, this is still the same point. At the beginning, ensure you focus on writing one correct code rather than multiple incorrect codes. Okay. Oopsie. My fingers are still a little numb. It's not, I live in Los Angeles, but I still complain of it being cold here, at least in the mornings, early mornings, late nights. All right. So what do I mean by this, team? Let's take a look at it. We spoke about variables yesterday, right? Let's look at the variables again. We're going to do something very interesting from computer science perspective today, a little bit. We're going to talk about what are bits and bytes and memory storage for different variable types. Okay, variable / data types, we say. Now, team, I'm not going yet into details of what are primitive, not primitive data types within, why is string uppercase and int not being, and so on. Certain things are there. I don't want you to start looking at exceptions in Java right away. Look at how it works. Now, let us understand this program very quickly, and then we will modify this. So public class Java variables 1, that is the name of my class. Very, very important thing, team. Here are my 4 thumb rules of mastering any programming language. Okay. As we go about mastering or learning any programming language, What are the first few things that we need to be very, very cautious about? First thing is to read the code. Just a simple ability, oopsie, ability to understand what that code will do. Most important thing here is line by line. That is your first step, team. When you look at a code, can you read it and understand it? That is the most important thing. When you read it, of course, you can execute it. You can start working on it. Okay. You have to be able to read the code. Write, no. Modify small code. So make changes and see how the program is affected. All right, let us try and accomplish these two first, team. I said four thumb rules, right? The first is the ability to read a code. The second is to modify small pieces of code. How many lines of code are there in this program, everyone? Audience, remember in day 1, day 2, I was asking the same. How many lines of code is there in this program right now? Perfect, 42. Now, why did you not delete for me the blank spaces and the commented lines and so on? Because the easiest way for us to do is click anywhere, do a control and end in your keyboard, control and end button. It'll take you to the last line, and that's what we will mention. The 42 lines of code. So that is one way of reading a code. What is the name of this Java program? It's called Java Variables 1. Now let us save this as, see what I did? Let me repeat it again. The same program, I'm going to file and I'm clicking on save as. And I'm going to save this as Java variables 2.java. I'll keep it in the same folder structure in my project under my SRC folder and say okay. Now you'll notice that this should come up out here and here too. Where is it? If it does not come up, do an F5, team, on the application Eclipse. F5 will basically do refresh. I created this, it did not show up. Let me do this. Let me right click and say refresh. See, I right clicked on the SRC folder. I only see 3 programs right now. Whenever I think my project or my workspace is not showing me all the files, then I want to refresh it. Before that, where do I find the same files in our system? Let me go to the Explorer, this PC, C drive, users, Kusireddy. I created Java Live Training April 2019, first Java project, SRC. Oh, where is it? See, it's not here. It is actually not here. Where did it go then? That is strange. Let me refresh, team. Right click on SRC and see this refresh option here, or the shortcut is F5. So if there's anything that has recently been added, it should reflect it. Why didn't it save? Let's try again. Save as, same thing, Java variables 2.java, and say okay. That is very strange. I don't know why it's not doing that. All right, no problem. Let's look at another way of recreating the same thing. Okay, here is my Eclipse. Here is my Windows Explorer. The same files are represented here. I also see them here. Can I open my Java code from out here, team? Absolutely, yes. So double click on it. It is already associated with a Notepad type of file with which it's going to open it. If it is not, choose Notepad, team. Let this open up in a simple Notepad. Thankfully, it maintained also the layout with empty spaces, everything. This code is exactly the same code that we're looking at in Eclipse. And if you can notice, the primary difference as is are it is all white and black or gray out here. Here you have few more options of colors, line numbers. You've got references as you go and take your mouse over everywhere. Certain immediate differences between Eclipse IDE and a Notepad. All right. Now, I've opened this Java variables 1.java. I will do an Alt FA on it on Notepad and save this as Java variables 2. But make sure you put the extension as .java or it will save it as a text file. Okay. So say Java variables 2.java and select all files as save as type. Now you're saving this in the same folder. Okay. So see, it has not yet appeared here, but it should be here. All right. Now let's see if I refresh this, will it show up here? I'm going to do a simple F5 or right click on source and click on this refresh icon. There you go. Do you see the program right now, team? Out here? It has come. It has not come in the tabs, but it has come on the left side in my package explorer. So that's the F5 to refresh. Why did it not do when I did a save as? I'm really not sure, team. It must have done it somewhere, but I don't know where it saved it. Could be a small glitch, either at Eclipse end or something that I have overlooked. But however, as an alternate, I did it on the System Explorer. Is that fair? The other easy way is you can copy the whole thing, create a new one and save it there. Now, before I open Java variables 2.java, here is where I want you to start wearing your hats on programming again, team. Eclipse is telling you something here. Yes, it is. What is it saying? There is a red error. Now it is saying that there in a project, my source folder, some package under it, and every other file except my Java variables 2.java is fine. Only this one seems to be having an issue. What could that issue be before I open the code? This is called the thinking cap, where we are debugging it. Thinking, hey, why is there a red cross in this new program? Why, team? We just saved it as a new Java class, correct? If you remember, one of the pointers that we took in our earlier sessions was the fact that your Java program and the class have to have the same names, right? There you go. Java class name and the file name must be the same. We saved it as Java variables 1. So, but if I'll double click here, I have not changed the class name to Java variables 2 here. Saved it as Java variables 2 and Java variables 2. Now this should disappear. There you go. So the first step to programming, team, as we were talking about, is the ability to read the code. Can you all read this code? At least if you're able to read most part of it to begin with, you're done with the day 3, day 4. Let's look at it. Public class. I said irrelevant at this level of our learning. We will get into it as we explore it, not yet. The same with public static void main string arguments. We've not even come to methods in Java. Main is the most important method in Java. Everything will go with main. There is no Java program without a main method. You can have a JUnit or a TestNG, that is different. They're frameworks. But every Java program must have a main method. This is where you'll start to look at team. So first, okay, what is the name of the class? How do we read these programs as we look at them? Okay, Java variables 2.java is the name of the class for me. Good. My main program is here. Good. Line 3, there is an interesting comment. Oh, work with a pencil. Looks like there's some program or some kind of a thought that is put around pencils in here. All right, good so far. Now came the ability to declare my variables, where I'm saying that I'm going to tell what type is it going to be. So I have declared how many variables here? Pen 1 color, pen 1 size. What did Java do immediately as soon as we did that? It created 3 blocks of memory spaces and it assigned those values into it. So this is P1 and this becomes your P1 color and this becomes your P1 size, your pen 1 size. All right. Out of your dozen pencils that you may be carrying as part of your toolkit to do whatever operation you want to do with it. Your first pencil has a specific name, has a specific color, has a specific size, right? Now, this information is stored as a variable. Each of them is a different variable. So the way we read code is great. We have declared variables and we have initialized the variables. That is number two. Declare variable is just creating an empty space. Okay, I will create a variable with this much size. As you put on it, we will see how big that string is. I'm sorry. The last step is to use the variables team, where the information that is stored is got to be used somewhere. Otherwise, there's no point in even displaying it, correct? Now, what is this print statements doing here? Just printing simple lines saying that the pen name is so and so, pen color is so and so, pen one size is so and so. Great. Let me erase these drawings, get back to normal non-drawing mode. And now look at it. See, each time I'm able to change the same pen one color. So from my pencil to your pencil, blue, and then 4, and repeating the same usage of the variables. So this is how we read the code all the way to my end of my program. This seems to be the end of my main method, and this seems to be the end of my overall Java class. Okay, team. So far, in whatever you observed, there are only two curl brackets, team. So only two blocks of code. We will keep adding more. The second step I said, as you need to master program, is to modify small code. What could we do to modify? For example, I could add one more here and call this differently. I'm going to do it a little different, team. See, string pen1, pen2 actually equals. This is a team pencil. Everyone is going to use it, let's say. And then string pen2 team pencil. Let's put this as red. Oopsie, not red. And then size, let's put it fine to 2.5. It's a size that I'm putting. Now, what did I do, team? I just copied an existing piece of code and I pasted it below, and I'm changing a few things. Earlier, my code was only 42 lines. Now it has gone up to 54 just by copy pasting. Now, what is the difference that I'm doing here compared to what we were doing here? You can variables can be declared and initialized in the same Java statement. So what does it mean? This statement is same as string pen2 and then saying pen2 equals team pencil. Every statement needs a semicolon. So this is what it is. This can be merged into one line. Okay. So I'm commenting this and I'm commenting this. Okay. This would have been my old code where I declared here and I initialized here. In here, the actual code I declared and initialized. That is it, team, nothing else. All right. I know it's a little boring and dry sometimes where we get into the depth of does it do this and does it do that. So I don't think it is extremely complicated unless you think about it. I will tell you if it is complicated, team. You don't assume that, oops, this thing is complicated. So far, it is so good. Now, do you see any syntax errors? Let's try and save this. I see there's red everywhere, and my Java variables2.java has certain reds. So when I'm trying to modify my code, I have noticed that I'm facing a little challenges, and I need to have the ability to correct them without the help of Eclipse telling me. Eclipse will always tell me. Let's go one by one. What could be wrong in line 43 and then 45 and 46? Because they seem to be having red markings on those line numbers. How about any other lines in this program that has an error? Nothing down, nothing all the way up to. But do note that I see something red here. See, on the extreme right of your Eclipse IDE, you see something here. There's one red here I can click. There is one red here I can click. There's one red here I can click. So it is taking me directly into that area. Eclipse will help you or give you different options as to what could fix it, team, when you take your mouse over. But I want you to think about it. Let's look at line 43. Do you see a red underline here? No. So this is not a problem. This is not a problem. Here, the variable value also is not a problem. Till semicolon, there's no problem. My red underlining started from this position in line 43. Why is it? I want an answer from everyone instantly. Just an answer. Focus. Why is it from here? Quick, everyone. That's correct. Our comment are double slashes, two forward slashes rather than one. So let's put one more and see if it solves it. Perfect. And did you also notice, team, that my comments are green in color, right? So, team, there are three types of comments. I don't know where I spoke about comments. There you go. Used to write English, blank lines and comments. Okay, starts with two black slashes, and anything after is ignored by Java. There's also multi-line comment. Okay, it's very simple. I will show you what's a multi-line comment shortly. So what we're doing is still modifying, team. Let me write these four other steps before we forget. Modify small code, write larger code, slowly increase the complexity level. Repeat, write larger code. All right. So I do write a lot of text live in the class because I mean, it's a concept, team. Once you have the concept straight in your head, you don't need references. It's an approach to life. It's a lifestyle, the way I look at things. Great. So you read the code, where you read the code and get a gist of what it will do. You're able to modify the small code, make changes, and be able to take care of any errors in it. You're also able to write larger code where slowly you start to write, increase the size, add more complexities to it, and so on, and keep repeating this thing. Each time, write, write, read, write, read, write, read. Now, I've got two of my issues fixed out of two of the three issues. Sorry, one out of the three issues. See, out of the three reds, one has disappeared. So I'm going to save this again, but I still have two red problems. What is it? Why do you think there is an issue on line 45 and line 46? Sorry. Java will not allow you to have same names for variables or methods or classes. Everything should be unique. Otherwise, it does not know how to identify it. It is as simple as it. Let us say there's someone by the name Alex in a group of 50 students. Now, what if there are two Alexes? Then I'll have to use Alex by location or maybe by the last name or Alex senior or junior to be able to identify how to differentiate between these two, right? The same applies that every variable name should be the same. Once you declare a variable, you cannot declare it again. I've already said string, a pen1 color is of type string. I cannot redeclare it again, team. I can use it and I can also, change the values in it, but I cannot redeclare the same name. I wanted this to be pen2 color, pen2 size. This is basically giving me an ability to um, make sure that the human error that I did when I created a new variable called pen2, I changed it, I corrected it now. Now the red lines seem to have disappeared. Let's save and see. Do you see the red lines disappearing, everyone? Last one before we go into little bits and bytes and talk about how these variables were getting assigned team. Very important sessions. Now it will make things very easy for us to view. Now do notice that the red lines have disappeared, but I'm now being challenged with the yellow lines on the same area. Why? Do you see this? This has become yellow and this has become yellow here. The difference is very simple, team. The red that you saw, like that cross and like this, is a problem. You need to fix it. You cannot run it without fixing that. If you see a yellow coming up like here, it is just a warning saying, hey, are you sure about it? I can still run it, but something does not seem correct. That is where Eclipse is getting interactive with you. See, Java is not telling you anything how to write the code. Java is expecting you to read a book called Java Essentials or the Java Guide or the Java Help Guide instructions and then do it. What Eclipse is doing is it's giving you the warning that the same code in a notepad absolutely bland. See, in here, it'll not tell you is it a red, is it a yellow. Now let's figure out why is it a yellow. Can anyone think of it? We actually deleted the reds by fixing our code a little. How we noticed that there was some error in team to pencil. We had only one for the comment as a /. For the other ones, we had the names repeating, and that was the problem. Now, why is there a yellow? Red is warning, yellow is a warning. You can fix it if you want to, it will be fine without also. Very simple thing, team. You declare a variable, you initialize a variable, and you have to use a variable. If I have declared a variable and I've initialized, I've created memory already. In my programming, I have created a space and I've blocked out the space for these variables. If you're not going to use it anywhere, why did we even create it then? Is the question that Java is asking. You put memory, you put memory, you put memory here, you create it. Where are you using it? This is pen1, this is not pen2. That is the warning that Java is giving there. How do you know these warnings, team? All these warnings so far that I have shown you, you are aware because I've encountered them. As you go along in your practice, one of these the issue area. Eclipse gives you the ability to suggest. It's remove assignments is one of remove assignments by side effects. Fix 3 problems of same category in 5. Add et suppress warnings. Add et suppress warnings to main configure problem severity. Why so many options? All right. Most of the times, your initial issues, I don't have that pop-up anymore with the marker, are getting solved at the first two itself. If I click on this remove pen to and all assignments, let us see what happens. It has removed that. Wherever it's a string pen to, it has deleted that line. I don't want it to delete it. I want to use it. I'm just going to change this to pen to. Did you see that yellow line or yellow thing there disappear? This is pen to color. Oopsie. And this is pen to color as size. Team, it's 7:40. Can I do another 7-8 minutes, please? I just want to talk about bits and bytes. Tomorrow we'll get into statements, conditional statements. Now let us run this code. We've modified it for a while. We've now made the 42 line code 58, not really doing much, just added a new variable. So let's see. Pen name is my pencil green, pen name is your pencil blue 4. Team pencil has a color is red and the size is 2.5. Now this is my start of my program, end of my program. Anything that I did has a lifespan. It's like almost like a birth and a death for that program. It creates it and it destroys it towards the end. Whatever happens in between is the only time that this Java program has worked. Anything it did has been done. After this, it's not going to do anything. This is your end of that program. All right. This word stream will slowly make a lot of sense as we keep going along. Let's talk about why is it that Java created so many different variable types. The easiest one that we will see are simple numbers. Let's play with simple numbers. One, I'm creating a new Java class and finishing it. Okay. Let me keep it very neat the way I want. All this, whatever it's generating, right? To do and all this styling, I will keep it at my end. So I will do what styling is essential. So here, let's talk about numbers. When I say numbers team, there are different types of numbers. Just look at them in a very simple way. We will expand and get the details of everything. But what are the different types of numbers? You have positive, you have negative, you have something called as whole, integer, or real numbers. In general, the way we look at things, right? And then we have decimal spaces, decimals in it. To be a good programmer team, you need to know basic math. That is essential. There's no question about it. Basic math is essential for programming. When I say basic math, what do I mean? Your additions, subtraction, division, your multiplication tables. Like, what is 9 times 8? That answer should be there in your brain at any time. You don't have to really put down 3 seconds for it. So these kind of 4 into 5, 4 times 7, what are those things? Just keep slowly working on them, team. These basic maths are essential for you. This will help you to understand programming better. Now, what is a positive number? Anything from, see, I'm writing a lot of story here, right? For every line, I can't keep on putting 2 slashes. I'm going to write a lot of story. Here is where I create a multi-line comment. Single line comment. I don't need all this. This is called a multi-line comment. My keyboard is really tight now. Now, what is a multi-line comment? Starts with a forward slash and a star and ends with a star, a star and a forward slash. All lines under it will be considered as a comment. Now look at this problem. The problem is, I said it starts with this, right, and ends with star backslash forward slash. Now the problem is it is thinking that this is the end of the comment, and it is saying I can't understand line 14. Is it a Java statement or a comment? It is not considering this to be the end. Ends with star. I'll just give a space here. It should be fine then. So if I put a slash here and a star and I remove all this, I can just write a block of comment. So what do I mean? Positive is what? Greater than 0. Negative, which we also write as this, is less than 0. 0 is perfect, exactly in between. This is less than 0. How about a whole number? I think whole number is something like a range of, it could be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Real number starts similarly. Very simple. I'm just talking basic math numbers that I remember. I think the count starts and it doesn't have, like, this is just English that I'm writing. It doesn't have a 0. It's not a real number. How about integers? Just now is easy. Positive or negative numbers without decimals. Okay. Decimals, 2 space. Okay, let's not get into decimals. What are decimals, team? 0.01 is a decimal. 99 point is a decimal. Okay, it could be as simple as 1.25. 1.2 is a decimal, or 100.2, whatever it could be, team. As long as it is able to hold that information. Now, like I said, right, Java is very specific about memory. It wants to use lesser and lesser memory, store more data, be very fast, be very easy. What happens, team, in the basic computers? Okay, if you look at it, your computer is all built about doing what? Do you think your computer understands English? What is it that a computer really understands, team? There is only one thing that a computer understands. It has only option of understanding one thing. Do you know that? Remember, like, it doesn't understand what is a or a B or a C or a 1 or a 2 or a 3, or what is space or enter. Exactly. Thank you, Pragati. Anyone else trying? Computer can only take a set of information, 2 values. It cannot do anything beyond that. What are those 2 values? Zero or a 1. Perfect. Whoever not answered, but most of the times you must have heard it. It's called a binary. It's 0, or there could be 1 in it. These are the only thing that a computer understands. Now we use multiples of these zeros and ones to store data and information, team. That is stored differently in the computer, but when it is rendered into our system for display, it looks amazingly different. It looks like, okay, this is English. We've wrote everything here in English, but below this, it is going to start writing it the same thing in zeros and ones. I'm just going to talk quickly about this concept, team, and we'll explore a lot about a little bit variables, more variables in tomorrow's session. Each of this cell that can form a 0 or a 1 is called what, team? Anyone know? This is called a bit. B-I-T. So let's use uppercase bit. Okay. Now a bit, 1 byte has how many options? How many different types of information can it store, team? It can store a 0 or 1. So it has 2 choices, not 8. Be very careful. The first option is I can put a 0 here. The second option is I can put a 1 here. So in total, I can have 2 possible combinations of it if I have 1 bit. So I can only store 2 sets of information, just basic ones. Okay. If I add 1 more, then what are my options? I can have 0 here too and 1 here too. So what are my combinations? I can have a 0 here or a 1 here. Here I have 0, 0, 1 combination, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. All right. The importance is not about trying to get complicated into how we are looking at the permutations and combinations. The importance is how many different can I have. If I have 2 bits now, then I can have up to 4 different information sets stored, a 0 or a 1, the permutation and combination. When I go about building this bit into 8 such small bits, one besides the other, I've completed 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me put a small 8 here. The same thing increases 0, 1, 0, 1. So how does it work? So basically, there are 2 ways. Let me change the color team. It's a very interesting concept. I don't mind spending a few more minutes on such concepts each day, team. Let's take a different color. Blue is fine, I think, right now. I have 2 ways of doing this, 2 ways of doing this, 2 ways of doing this, all the way to here. So how many different ways of doing it is nothing but 2 times 2 times 2 and so on. How did I arrive at this equation, team? Is something you have to do more of, how you derive a logic into this algorithm. So don't go into that extent. Let's keep it very simple. There are 2 ways of doing this, 2 ways of doing this. If I do both, I'll have 4 ways, 2 into 2. Now here, see, there'll be so many commas, 0, 0, 0, 1. See, oh, sorry, 0, 0, 0, then 0, 0, 0, 1. And I'll start here, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. Then here, see, and then here, and here. There's so many combinations. How do you know? You just keep multiplying them. So this becomes basically 2 to the power of 8. Okay. Now, what is 2 to the power of 8? 2 multiplied by itself 8 times. If I want to make it easier, I will say 2 to the power of 4 into 2 to the power of 4. So what is 2 to the power of 4? Something like this, right? So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 will become 16 for me. So that's going to be 16 here and 16. Maybe some of us, and in fact, I didn't use a calculator the other time when I was doing it, but I could get into that multiplication. So 16 times 16 becomes what, team? 256. 256, up to 256 different characters or informations can be stored into 8 bits. And 8 bits make 1 byte of information. So your ASCII keyboard that we use, team, so each, like every character that you type is, I believe, if I'm not wrong, is there in this 256. So it's 1 byte per each character that they use. So I can have up to 256. So this, if I press C or D or a tab or a caps lock or a shift or F10, F11, each of these are represented by 1 byte. That is my keyboard instruction. That is how I'm communicating. So if I hit a button, it is taking that specific layout and sending that information. Did I scare or confuse anyone with the topic so far, team, on what we're talking about? Basic numbers and how is it that memory is getting assigned? Basic 0 and 1, the smallest building block is a bit. It can handle in two sets of information, a 0 or a 1. As you keep adding 8 bits together, it becomes 1 byte. So 1 MB is basically 1 megabyte. That is 1024 bytes. And then you have 1 GB, that is gigabyte. I think it is 1000 megabytes, right? And then you have a terabyte and so on. These are your memory storages, team, your hard drives, your Google drives, your online storages, iPhone, Android capacities, and so on, right? As you notice, see, devices are trying to make things smaller, apps are trying to make things smaller. You still know how much of a challenge it is to put the 32 GB, 64 GB, 128 GB memory space into the smartphones, correct? All this boils down to this basic logic, understanding the fact that let us say there are a million, or let's say a million variables used, team, overall in a program. Okay, one bad programmer, only one bit he did not optimize. Now we lost a million bit optimization overall. So it is all about the approach of programming. So knowing your basic fundamentals is very critical. Now we can start playing around and working with numbers. One of the very reliable sources that I've always followed through my days, team, has been w3schools.com. I really recommend you all to keep a check on this website. They're very simple instructions, may not be video based, but you'll see a lot of read through, a few practice, do it yourself. In here, if you scroll down, there's something on Java as well. There you go, learn Java. And it'll talk about right from hello world all the way. It'll explain everything. What I wanted to show here were Java variables, and we're going to look at the different Java variables and make sure that we understand each of them correctly. We'll know what to use, where to use. We'll also know as to how much memory each of them typically take to occupy and why did they, create different data types. All right. So see, like byte, 1 byte. Short is a data type. It takes 2 bytes. An integer takes 4 bytes. To store an integer, 4 bytes means 4, 256 to the power of 4. So multiply it 4 times. You have 4 bytes besides each other. So the permutations and combinations are significantly high. It is saying that it can store up to such big range of numbers. All right. Great long is a bigger number, integer, without decimals. Float has decimals in it. Double also has decimals. Boolean has only true or a false. It's a very specific predefined word. It's true or false. We will look into Boolean tomorrow. Character, one single character. I think 1 byte should be enough, but it's taking 2 bytes for a character, maybe more than 256. See this whole numbers minus 128 to minus 127. So if you add them, including 0 in between, it is 256. 1 byte is 256. It can hold up to that. Great team. So that's it for today. I'm sorry it started late, but could cover almost a 50-minute session. We done the basics, team. I'm going to keep this session on the same webinar going. Monday was a tough day after Sunday night to wake up early and start the session, but Tuesday morning onwards should be fine. We are now going to talk about how we play around with numbers and statements, if statements. Now, what I'm really getting into is something like this. If I declare an integer called x and I put a value of 10 in this, and I declare another integer called y and I put a value of 20 in this, I can start doing certain things. What is it that I can do? I can write x value is, put a colon and then do a plus and say x. See, there's no yellow line anymore on X. Y I've declared and used it, but there's still on Y. I've declared it, but I've not used it. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it up here. This is my Y. Always make sure you make correct changes to your code team. Lot of times, Y value is, what is values? X value is Y value. Lot of times we change half the information, we leave half. It may not show up unless you have a very detailed eye. Your eyes need to be extremely detailed to do good programming team. Every line so far is a comment. Right now, I just put two print statements. What will happen to my run? X value is 10, Y value is 10. Now I'm going to say there is a new integer in town called Z equals X plus Y. And I'm going to start printing Z. Now, what if I multiply it or subtract it? Then what will happen? What if I multiply them together? What if I divide them? All right. In Java team, it does not give too much importance if there is a space right before an equation or after a variable and so on. It omits it. The reason I keep it is based on documentation skills that make it easier for us to be a fine programmer as we go along. So Z space equals space. I'm giving space wherever possible, so it's very legible. There is an error, however, team. What is the issue that you see or notice? The issue that you're seeing is I see three errors on line 37, 40, and 43. Why do you think they came up before I go in and try and look at the help or take my mouse? I know it, team, but I'm trying to check, would you be able to realize it? It is part of what we discussed in our notes so far. So it's part of what we've been discussing. Do I have everyone's alertness? I see some of you are not on the same window as GoToWebinar. 4 of you. Sushma, Raj, Rajeshwari, Chamu. So give your focus, team. This is the time to not, at least in the live sessions, to give as much focus. When you're watching video, it becomes a little bit more relaxed for you, but this requires focus. Okay, the answer to this issue as to why we have a red line on 37, 40, and 43, you cannot declare the same variable twice. You can declare it once and use it any number of times. Don't keep saying integer, integer again, because it will go create a new memory space whenever you say int, and it'll say that I want to give it the same name Z, but it already exists in my program. Sorry, can't do it. That's what it says. So deleted these. Now let's see, save it. Why does it still have a problem? Int Z, oh, even here I don't need it, see? Now, is everything correct with my code? Is there any other issue before I run it? Any other issue before I run it? Thank you, everyone. There are 3 of you who's got the screens off from the screens, I believe. But that's fine. It could be, if you're all of you are with me, I'm great. I'm glad for it. Thank you, Rajeshwari. See, that's good. Same with this with Pankaj. We're saying X value is, Y value is. This should be Z value. Why didn't Eclipse give me a red underline and tell, oops, there's an issue here? Why did Eclipse not do that to me? Can you tell me, team? Eclipse does not care, or the Java does not care on what is inside the double quotes. If you put anything inside double quotes, it'll take it as is because it becomes a string. So whatever you give inside double quotes, it will not look into it. Okay, unless you do a little bit of escape characters and play around a little. All right, now Z value, is it all done? Is it Z values or Z value is value, right? It is not just coding team. Every good programmer also has good English. Remember that. because your comments need to say your naming convention has to be correct. The way you code, the way you write your statements, your error messages, your pop-ups, your alerts, your reports. So keep everything standard. If you see something that can be improved, improve it. Be a keen observer. I have 47 lines of code. Of course, there's too many junk lines, but as of now, there are 47. So let's run this. So X value is, Y value is, see Z value each time I'm getting different things, adding it, subtracting it, multiplying it, dividing it. And the reason it is not giving me a proper number for this is because it doesn't have the decimals in it. Now, if I create a double called Z double, just a name I'm giving to variable, and says Z double equals X by Y, the same thing, and I'll print this now. Oopsie, what did I do? I hit some of the key. And Z value with decimals is. And now let's run it. Why did it still give me 0 team? Can someone tell me, please? This is the last question and we're going to stop this for today and continue from tomorrow. Why did it give me the same value? This also gave me, this also is giving me the same value. Who is at fault? Is Java at fault or Eclipse at fault or I, Karthik, as the programmer at fault? The fault is we overlooking in our copy paste team and I made a deliberate mistake. See, till here I was working with variable Z. Out here I created a new variable of type double, call it Z double. Now Z double is X by Y. Now Z value with decimals, should the name here be Z or Z double? That's the only thing. This Z is pointing to this variable always. This Z double needs to be here. Then we may see a different value. Let us see. Oopsie. See double. And let us rerun this. Each time I make changes, Java asks me to save it team. Now in the 4th day, right? I'm just going to say always save resources before launching. Checking this checkbox saying okay. Oh wow, now it says 0.0. I mean 10 by 20 should not be 0.0. It should be at least 0.5, right? I don't know why. Maybe it just did it divided. I know. We're now where did I go? Talk about cast types a little bit. But what we will really be getting into tomorrow is starting with our if statement. If X is equal to Y, or if X equals to Y, I will say sys_o same values. Else, I'm going to say not the same values. This is called a conditional statement. Okay, we're going to go deeper into this tomorrow, team. It basically says if this condition inside this brackets is true, run the first block. If this condition under any circumstance is not true, skip that first block, come directly to that else block. So it gives us a direction, a roadmap where we've been going straight all the time, and then you hit a condition and say, oops, should I turn left or should I go right? This is if it is true, this is if it is fails. How do we implement this and how do we write more programs with it? Let's explore those tomorrow, team. Any questions for me so far, please, on what we've done? We're 4 days into it. We've just got to the variables. There's a lot more to cover. I believe under 6 to 7 sessions, uh, almost all the basic concepts will get covered, team. So team, please keep practicing along with the videos. I think these videos will put them into that YouTube playlist itself as much as we can. So you should be able to watch it. I will see you back again tomorrow. If is 7 a.m. also okay, team? If 6:30 a.m. Pacific is a little too early with the spring break here. If it's not, then I'll try and I was doing fine last week, this week, yesterday, and today I really couldn't get up. But thanks, Pawan could get me up into it. So team, we'll see you back tomorrow for Java sessions. Those of you registered for the other trainings in IT Learn, Manual, Selenium, Automation, Frameworks, look at the website with the schedule. It should be there on the old webinar links, team. You'll get the communications from the team members. Thank you, everyone. Just a quick feedback can I get from everyone? How have the sessions on Java been so far? Has it been comfortable? Are you getting exposed to programming in a right way? Do you feel that there is future or confidence being built in yourself that yes, this is something you will be doing? Can I get very simple feedbacks from everyone? Just motivates me as to what I need to do next. Okay, great. So everything positive so far. So for some of you, it's just a recap. For some of you, you missed earlier sessions. You're going to watch it. Now we're getting, the reason I asked you at this stage, team, still now you've seen the easier parts of programming. Okay. From here, things will start getting a little bit more interesting. New things will start getting exposed to you. You'll have to start accepting them, right? So for that, I want you to be prepared. The fact that, okay, let's learn more and more. Whatever we have learned, we'll keep relearning. We're going to keep adding more. Documents and the code after day 5. So for the first 5 days, we'll put them as one chapter. The second, we'll put it as another chapter. You can download all the classes, the documents that we're doing, and also the programs. Thanks, everyone. See you back again tomorrow. Sorry for the delayed start in the session, but I'm glad I could still do a 1-hour session, most of you being present. Thank you all. Bye now. Take care. Bye all.